We were walking after school. When I say we, I'm talking about Preston, Tyler, Joshua, and Ethan, and then of course me. My name is Connor, by the way. School is out at 219 every day, and we would usually walk to McDonald's or the park. This day specifically, we walked to McDonald's. I usually didn't have any money, but this time I remember I did. So I walked over to the register and I bought an M&M McFlurry. I would buy one of those whenever I could because they're my favorite. I remember that McDonald's was rather quiet and not busy at all that day. It was very unusual. I think there was like one other customer that was there besides us kids, and even then I think they left shortly after we got there. Of course, we took this opportunity to be loud and obnoxious pigs. I mean, it was only right. We had a McDonald's to ourselves and we were all high as shit. That excitement was only short-lived though, because after a few minutes of us causing a scene, a man came over to us. He had a long brown hair, was old, and had a creepy demeanor to him. He introduced himself as Billy. I don't know why, but when he said his name, Preston started to burst out laughing. Not gonna lie, that triggered a chain reaction, inspired the rest of us into a small chuckle. Preston was legit dying laughing though, and he couldn't contain himself at all. I felt bad for the man, but I really couldn't help it. It was just funny. You guys might not get why it was so funny, but let me explain something. This guy kind of looked like an incest hillbilly, so when he said his name and it matched out to be with what he looked like, we died inside laughing. That's when the creepy man stood there and gave Preston this menacing look. I swear I could see Preston sweating in regret out of the corner of my eye without even looking at him. I swear I even heard him gulp when the man tightened up his menacing eyes onto him. It seemed as though Billy was trying to hold back his rage. I mean, it wasn't that serious. We weren't trying to actually make fun of him, but we weren't those typical stoner tough kids. We all played sports, and we were preppy, and we didn't have an ounce of Sigma in us at all. What I'm trying to say is, we were not ready for what this man had in store for us. Especially me. I was never the confrontational type. We learned that he worked there and he threatened to kick us out. We apologized to him, and after a while we eventually got him to walk away. But it was very strange that he said he worked there. I mean, he wasn't wearing a uniform or anything, and he was acting a bit abnormal for a worker. After a while of discussing what just happened, we all decided to leave. I told my parents about the man, and my mom called the McDonald's and spoke with the general manager. We found out that he doesn't actually work there anymore and that he was fired years ago. Apparently, he used to work as a janitor and a line cook, but he was fired one night when he attempted to stab a customer in the parking lot because the customer had complained politely about his order being wrong. Billy was arrested, and he went to jail and was deemed mentally incompetent and sent to the loony bin for years. I guess he keeps coming back and harassing customers. It's a good thing we didn't push him over the edge, though, because maybe he would have tried to stab one of us. If one of us would have made a passive-aggressive comment that he took offense to in any way, shape, or form, it's very clear that he would have been capable of the unthinkable. Despite having the police called on him multiple times, he kept showing up to the McDonald's. Eventually, they got him arrested for trespassing, and since it broke his probation-type deal, I think he went back to jail. This happened to me last year. I was hungry after a late-night shift at work. It was past midnight, so I knew I didn't have many options. I saw a McDonald's and pulled off the highway to go there. McDonald's hours vary depending on the location, so I was hoping they would be open. However, the lights were fairly dim, so I wasn't quite sure. I decided to pull into the drive-thru to see. When I pulled up to the speaker, I heard a voice say, "Hi, welcome to McDonald's. What can I get you today?" I said I would have the number 9, and that was all. They said sure, and to pull up to the first window, so I pulled my car around. However, when I reached the window, nobody came to it. I saw the kitchen lights appeared to be all dimmed as if they were closed. I waited there for a couple minutes. I knew I was the only customer, so I didn't know what was taking them so long. After another minute went by, I didn't see any movement at all. I took out my phone and searched McDonald's on Google Maps. The location came up, and when I looked, it said it was closed. I was confused and kept staring at my screen, wondering if this was a mistake. Just then, I saw somebody finally appear at the window out of the corner of my eye. It was a man in all black with a hood covering most of his face. As soon as I turned my head, He ducked down. I drove off as fast as I could and went straight home. I don't know who that was or what happened, but I do know I won't go back to that McDonald's again. This happened to me about a year ago. I was hanging out with some of my friends from high school. One of them worked at McDonald's, and we stopped by because he wanted to say hi to one of his coworkers. There were 4 of us, and it was about 10 or 11 o'clock at night. Our friend went inside, and the 3 of us chilled outside because it was a nice night. I don't think there were any customers at the time besides us, but after a minute or so, we noticed a man riding a 3-wheeled bike around the corner. He had a speaker attached to the back of his bike, which was playing music. We all watched as he rode by us and around the parking lot. He started riding laps around the restaurant. My friends and I thought this was funny and made a couple jokes about it. After about 10 laps, he rode up to us and stopped. He had long hair and a slight beard. He was wearing baggy clothes and appeared to be in his late 20s. He stopped his bike about 5 feet away from us and turned down his music. We all looked at him. "You guys want to know something?" he said. "Sure," I said. He responded with, "I'm about to rob this place." We all looked at each other confused. One of my friends laughed a little. We figured he was joking, but it was kind of a weird thing to say. He just stared at us with a slight grin on his face for a couple seconds. I turned and looked and saw my friend was still talking to his coworker friend at the counter. I kind of wanted to leave. Finally, the man spoke again. "I'd get out of here if I was you guys," he said. "Why's that?" my friend asked. The man said to just leave. My friend said no. I was surprised, but I realized there were 4 of us and 1 of him, and he wasn't any bigger than any of us. The man stood there next to his bike for about 30 seconds, just staring at us. Finally, he got back on his bike and rode off. We felt tough for possibly preventing a robbery as much as we didn't know how serious the man was, or if he was on drugs or something. We all went home, and the next morning I woke up to see my friend post in our group chat a link to a news story. It was about a local bank that had been broken into the previous night. A rock was thrown through the window and a man was arrested inside. It was the same man.